Hello everybody, welcome back to a Mengu video live. I am back from my long week in Portland first and then Texas. I tasted some America after a long time. It's been 2 years and a half that I haven't traveled across the Atlantic for Magic for work, and it's been an amazing week, really an amazing week. But I'm back. I'm back to do what I love the most, which is talking and playing about Magic. We have some great news. That is, in fact, that Yorion Sky Nomad has been banned from Modern. I titled this video Ban Reaction. My ban reaction is two things. One, actually, I'm gonna structure this video in three parts. One is, do I agree with Yorion ban in Modern? I don't. I personally think that a card needs to be banned whenever it's unfair for a format, whenever the format is unbalanced, whenever there's a clear best deck, which was the case with Grixis Shadow and Lurs. It's not the case for Yorion. Yorion was not the best deck at all, but Wizards recognized that, saying that it was neither popular, with only 5 or 6%, nor the best deck, because again, if you've been playing Modern, you know that there's no such thing as best deck. It's a format where you could say that 10 decks are all leveled at the A tier. But nonetheless, I am not here to complain. I'm not one of those content creator that complains as wizard choice. I like to play with the cards I'm dealt with. I prefer creating content that is useful for Magic player to consume, rather than just being a journalist that reads the news and just doesn't add much to them except some negativity. I love the fact that as a Magic content creator, I love the fact that I have a new format now to talk to you about. Yorion was present in my top 2 decks in my power ranking, your Rhinos and 4-color Omnath Yorion, but this was the power level of, power ranking of September. This was in fact my tier list, and note how I rank this S tier with the dollar money. Wizards has not, of course, acknowledged the fact that Yorion decks were way too expensive, but I believe that that was definitely one of the biggest reasons why they banned Yorion, is that Yorion was a not a great facade that the modern decks were kind of paywalled, or rather $2,000 deck in order to get a deck that's, the quote-unquote best deck. Although, again, I could easily say that the top 10 decks were all capable and of winning a tournament easily with not that many bad matchup across the board. They also mentioned one important thing, which is the factoring the dexterity requirements of playing a large deck per tabletop. I think this is bull XXX. I think that this is not a thing, and whoever brought it up was always, to me, like either somebody that didn't want to buy the cards or somebody that just, I don't know, we're finding some excuses to not play Yorion. You play with Commander, but even just that, you play with perfect sleeves, and if you perfect sleeve a 60 card deck, it's bigger than a 80 card deck without perfect sleeves. But anyway, that was just whatever. The reason why they banned Yorion, again, to me, is because the format was too expensive. They didn't want to ban expensive cards like Rhinos or Omnath, so they banned Yorion. Do I agree? No, that's fine. Again, I don't mind playing with the cards I'm dealt with. The ban list is not perfect. There's a ton of cards on the bottom ban list that could easily be unbanned. Without any interfering in the bottom ban list. I did all the videos with Canister with a bunch of cards, and the decks are just not very good. But again, this was my first part of the of my ban reaction video, was whether I agreed or not with the Yorion bannings, and now let's get into what will happen. The first thing I want to show to you are some deck lists that I brewed. That I am interested. Some decklists that were playing Omnath, were playing Yorion, that I brewed, that are now not playing Yorion anymore. The first one is 4-color Rhinos. It was to be your Rhinos. I think Yorion was amazing. You had to play it. It's just free card to pitch to Solitude for some negation, as well as just extra card to blink your Omnath Solitude, Leyline Binding. It was mandatory. Now you don't have it anymore, so that's not anymore a consideration. You could play the version with Sign of Draco. That's definitely going to be a question I'm gonna receive a lot, so I'm gonna just address it right now. I don't believe this card is modern power level. I have played it in one of my YouTube videos. I played this 60 card Yorion with Sign of Draco, which constantly were underwhelming. I mean, the first thing is that best case scenario, you get a 2 mana 4/4, but that's like not a good card. This is not a deck that plays like a lot of color creatures to give a bonus. You play Rhinos, which already have trample. And what if you don't have the best case scenario? What if you don't draw fetch land to go turn 2 Sign of Draco? Then this card is just bad. What if you draw multiples of this and plus 6 card? It's just not a good card. I'm not gonna play Sign of Draco. So whoever asks me about Sign of Draco, I just plain and simple say I don't think this card is good, and I prefer playing anything else, like Omnath, for example. Some of the 4-color lists do not play Omnath. I believe Omnath is amazing in this deck, not because it's Omnath, great card, but because it pitches to both Solitude, Fury, Force of Negation, Force of Vigor, Endurance. Very good card. The fact that it pitches is very important because this deck counters the card disadvantage of pitching cards with the card advantage of deploying 2 Rhinos with just 1 card and things like that. So this is the reason why I love Omnath. Plus this deck with 5 drops, you can easily go Omnath Fetchland 5 drop, and that's one thing I like of this version. So this will be the first Rhinos list I'm playing. Again, I also, of course, focus my mana base a lot. I don't just build decks. I think about the mana base often whenever I build them. And I cut the Indata Triumph. So now we're going to do, instead of the Indata Triumph Steam Bands, we're going to do Xander Lounge Temple Garden. This will permit you to go turn 1, suspend Footfalls, turn 2, fetch Xander Lounge, cast Leyline Binding. Or just have 5 colors on turn 2 in general to go turn 1 Xander Lounge, turn 2 Temple Garden, Fire Ice, or whatever. I cut the... I still have Rockbrain Triumph because I believe that going Rockbrain Triumph Forest, it's a pretty easy way to start. So right now we can't go 5 color with 2 Triumphs. But then again, since we're playing 10 less lands than the previous version, I have to drop a lot of fetch land, I have to drop the basic mountain, I have to drop Sacred Foundry, I have to drop second Boseiju, second Tawar, and a couple of fetch lands. The mana bases of Omnath decks will be worse. Omnath mana base, your mana base was much better because you were able to play 18 fetches and a lot of shock lands, so never have problems, as well as having lands that you can reuse. And this is my first Omnath Yorion deck. The second one is Vivien. People loved my Vivien combo decks, and I'm gonna bring them back. So this is the deck that very similar list to the last one I played. Of course, we don't have Yorion anymore, but sorry, let me put this into a single pile. So we don't have Yorion anymore, but that doesn't mean that this deck doesn't function. I still prefer to play a combo version of Omnath. Drawing is a big deal with this deck. Regardless of Yorion or not, the deck will still be slow. So I believe that I still will definitely explore this Vivien decks. If you don't know how the combo works, I'm sure you can Google. Okay, you can search on YouTube. I've made like countless videos with this deck, and I will keep on making them because having a comboing off on turn 3 is a thing with playing Bound Accomplice plus Vivien of the Hunt. Actually, in this list, I had to cut Utopia Sprawl, so we can't combo on turn 3 anymore, but still, combo on turn 4 is quite powerful with playing Bound Accomplice with the Alarmer Call that tutors up for it and Vivien in your hand. Another version that I might want to try of Vivien is the one with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I believe that Fable of the Mirror Breaker can help smooth to draws, as well as helping you in the scenarios where you draw Karmic Guide and you can't really go off, so you can discard it. Plus, Kijiki Flipped is a 3-drop for your Vivien. You can blink it with Felidar Guardian for some nice value. I think that It is indeed a powerful card that still needs to be a little bit more play tested. Again, the mana base, I have, of course, you have to cut down from the 30 lands, 31 lands I used to play to 23. I like Abundant Growth. I think that this is the best way to play around Blood. Final deck that I want to play is for sure for color Yorion. This is the most common version. The most common version. The people that, the version that people like to play the most. And this is the one with counterspell and this is the version with counterspell and expressive iteration. I'm gonna add all these decks to the deck description so you can just easily upload them to your MTGO account. Once again, the mana base is gonna be tough because you can't really afford to play multiple Boseijus, not so Kanza, not even basic Mountain. So you will struggle a little bit more. This list comes from Respect the Cat, which is the person who won a lot of challenges on Magic Online. He streamed a little bit with this list, so I'm gonna go with it. He was used to play Ragavan and now cut down to Unholy Heat. Sorry, cut down to Ragavan because, well, you don't have that much space. Still plays Endurance. I believe Endurance right now, I haven't mentioned it yet, but it was in all my previous sideboard. 4 Endurance in the sideboard. In Rhinos, in Vivien, and now in this one as well. I believe Endurance to be outstanding right now. Really just can't pray it enough. Blue-Red Murktide, Yawgmoth, Breach, all decks that you would love to have a full playset of Endurance against. Now I want to add a third part of my video reaction, which is what decks will gain and will lose from the ban list. We're definitely gonna say that the decks that played Yorion will lose, because of course will lose this powerful free card that also pitched to Solitude, which was a big deal, and these decks will struggle. They will still be around, but they will be worse. Like, it's gonna be easy. That would be worse. The question is, will they still be good enough to fight with the other very good decks of Modern? I think so. I think that a deck with Solitude will still have an edge against a deck with a deck with Solitude and Renaissance will still have an edge against decks that are very used to suffer these very powerful creature decks. Creature removal decks. The Solitude and Renaissance deck used to be very good against the Ragavan, the Esper Sentinel, the Young Wolf deck. But this deck will obviously gain a lot more because now they don't have this like very big Praetor that used to be the 4-color deck. I mean, it's still gonna be around, but it's just gonna be less popular and less good. So these 4 decks here gain a lot. I believe Creativity was the best deck coming in before the ban list. In fact, at the Star City game event I played in Dallas, I was supposed to play Rhinos, but I believe that Creativity was going to be super popular and Rhinos is a bad matchup against Creativity, so I decided to switch last second to Murktide, which instead is a good matchup against Creativity. What ended up happening is that I played against 0 Creativity and 3 Hammer, which is not a great matchup for Murktide. Ended up going 5-3, so not day 2, but still, I believe Blue Murktide is an amazing choice. It's a deck that struggles a lot on the draw. Fortunately, lost a lot of die rolls, but the variance is definitely a big deal when it comes to tournaments. But anyway, I believe that Creativity will lose, still a great deck, but will lose a little bit because it used to prey on the Yorion decks. All the combo decks, Creativity, Scape Shift, Burn, Jeskai Breach, used to prey on combo, on Yorion, because they had a combo that you couldn't really fight. 1-card combo. Underworld Breach, you lose. Scape Shift, you lose. Creativity for 2, you lose. So those combo decks will definitely struggle. Not struggle, but will be a little bit worse because they lost, or rather, one of their very good matchup is now less present in the metagame. And this was one of the reasons why, to me, the modern metagame was perfectly balanced, is that there were a lot of excellent decks that had a good matchup against the Yorion decks. It's not that you have to ban every deck that's you know, good. That's not how Magic should work, in my opinion. But then again, we are coming back to that first point. I don't need to reiterate it anymore. Living End has always been like a very strong deck without many matchups, good or bad. Just a solid deck that can win any matchup. But for example, with Murktide, I lost to Living End at the tournament. Sometimes they just, you know, you have one counterspell, they grief it, and they combo and you lose. It's not that you don't draw multiple Flusterstorm every game. I believe now Living End is once again better than Rhinos, just because the amount of high interaction as well as the powerful of the combo. There's a lot of engineered explosives these days because of creativity, so Rhinos is struggling a little bit more than it used to when I wrote this tier list. Remember, I write tier list for Channel Fireball at the end of every month, so now we're at the middle of the month, so 2 weeks passed, and the metagame definitely adapted. For example, in my Murktide decks, I was playing 3 engineered explosives, where usually I was playing 2, exactly for the Rhinos deck. So, of course, the metagame changes, especially when the metagame is balanced and there is no clear winner. Giske Breach is a deck that I have been made fun of a lot because I ranked at C tier. I believe Giske Breach to be underplayed, underrated, and I was the first one to underrate it. Spike made a different version, mono red version, which is very similar to the Jeskai one, but more aggressive. I made the example of Spike version being like mono red Phoenix back in the days, and Jeskai Breach being blue red Phoenix. I think though the biggest winner from this ban list is for sure blue white control. I think Blue-White Control is going to be the deck that will rejoice the most by the Yorion bannings. Not just because they had a bad matchup against Yorion. They did. Many decks in this top 15 had a bad matchup against Yorion. Like Murktide had a bad matchup against Yorion, Rakdos Scam, Yawgmoth, and so on. I believe that Blue-White Control not only had a bad matchup against Yorion, it also was just weak to the card Yorion. Like, whereas a deck like Hammer Time and Blue or Murktide, sometimes that doesn't even matter. The fact that they cast Yorion at some point, you're going to lose regardless. Blue-White Control actually mattered. Like, you actually cast Yorion, and that's an extra card that the Blue-White Control has to deal with. They either counter it, but there's Teferi often in play, so they draw 3 cards with Abundant Growth, Omnath, and Reason Reef, and blah blah blah, and you lose from there. So I believe the Blue-White Control is the biggest winner. Blue-White Control will be re-added to the metagame. Blue Control, honestly, doesn't seem bad in this decks. Like, okay, sure, you're losing to these decks, but and of course you lose to Creativity. That's a bad matchup, but you also are very good against Murktide. You are. It depends how much interaction you draw, but you should be good against Hammer. You have like so many main deck Chalice and Teferi against Living End. Rakdos Scam really just doesn't have matchups because they can scam you on turn 1 with Grief. So I always believe that Rakdos Scam is so strong that doesn't really have bad matchups. Yawgmoth, Yora's deck with Solitude Ending, Leyline Binding, and so on and so forth. Not these two, but you know. So what I mean is that Black Control, if you're a control player, I think this is the time to get excited about Modern. I'm always excited about Modern. I think that format was great. It's still gonna be great. It's great for my content creation. Then now I get to make more, maybe more quote unquote hotter content. I'm gonna play my sweet updated Vivien deck, and people will like it. So I'm happy about it. Thank you, Wizards, for banning cards to keep the Modern format fresh, I guess. That's it. I think I've talked a lot about this. I want to thank you all for watching, remembering that if you like my content, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already, make a comment saying to buff the algorithm so that other people can catch this video, can catch my channel, and my channel can grow. If you met me this weekend in Dallas, I wanna thank you for the nice words you told me, because there were a lot of you there. And yeah, I'll be back every day on my channel. I'll be back to stream. Don't know still my schedule because I'm very jet lagged, and can't promise to keep up a schedule, but thank you for watching. Have a good day.